So recently, YouTube has changed some of their policies around monetization. Monetization is the process whereby advertisers will pay you money when you play your video, and like the user might have to see some ads or something. And they've changed the idea about what content can be monetized, and they've said certain controversial topics cannot be monetized, including like news topics. A lot of YouTube creators, and I'm totally willing to name names like Sargon of Akkad, Skeptic. I don't know what the fuck TJ Kirk said about it, but he likes his money from YouTube, so he probably said something. The whole skeptic-sphere, they said a whole bunch of shit like, oh, this is so bad, we're being demonetized, this is censorship. Or at least Sargon of Akkad was willing to say, no, it's not censorship, it's just a disincentive that kind of sucks. And also people were saying certain videos about computer games were being demonetized, and that doesn't make sense either, because that's not a controversial view. That's not about like Syrian boy washing up on the beach or whatever. But the one thing that really annoys me about this whole debate is how many of these people do not seem to understand what YouTube is. YouTube is simply a place where you can go and put videos. That's all it is. They are allowing you to put videos on the internet. Now, why is that important to point out? Because they're not your employer. You are not employed by YouTube. Somebody said, you know, to some people, their job is YouTube. It's kind of like a job in the sense that when you tell someone you're going to mow their lawn, and then you go over there, and then they give you some money, and you mow the lawn, and they give you some cash for it, that's your job. But occasionally, you won't have any lawns to mow, or you'll go over there and they'll be like, we don't need you to mow the lawn, so you won't get any money. And if someone says, well, I'm not going to pay you to mow the lawn, do you just go ahead and mow it anyways? Well, I want to get fucking paid, so I'm going to mow this fucking lawn. They'll be like, well, no, you're not my employee. I pay you money when I want you to mow the lawn. I don't just give you money. You're not on a salary. You're not my employee. But if you're on a salary, whenever you work within a certain time span, you expect money. It would be like if I made an album and then it didn't sell well because no one was buying it. I blamed the public for not buying it, but the music was shit. I'm entitled to this money. I made a product. I put in a lot of work on this album. I worked hours and hours, so I should get money for this. Doesn't matter if anyone buys it. Doesn't matter if it's a good album. I should get paid because I am entitled to money for things that I do. And you're not. You're not entitled to money if you make videos on YouTube. Now, you can complain about YouTube having disincentives. That makes perfect sense. But you can't say, I made a video, therefore it should be monetized, because there's no standard that we're judging this against. It's just what do advertisers want? And if YouTube were in a conversation with advertisers about what kind of content advertisers want to appear on, that's literally none of your fucking business, and you can't do anything about it. So if you think you're employed by YouTube, if you think YouTube is your job, you're fucking wrong. It's not your job. It's something that YouTube allows you to make money from sometimes, if you meet their criteria. And if you don't like it, go join minds.com, or that piece of shit that all of the whining skeptics have been talking about, and that can just be a place where everyone agrees on the same thing, but no one actually makes any fucking money because minds.com is so tiny they can't even fucking pay you, and no advertisers want to be involved yet. So you can go join that place. But I don't get the entitlement, the sense of I am entitled to this money. It's literally the definition of entitlement. I've seen people trying to argue with this. When you join Patreon, you are joining for a service in which people give you money for your content. So if you joined Patreon and then they said, we're not going to pay you the money that your patrons are pledging you, it would kind of be like, well, what's the point in Patreon? That's the entire point of Patreon. But with YouTube, you're at their mercy. So when you chose that as a career, you were taking a risk because you literally have no power. The thing is, it's not YouTube's fault that you don't have any power. It's your fucking fault for not thinking about what YouTube is. And that's why people have Patreons. If you lost all of your YouTube money tomorrow, you wouldn't be able to do shit about it because that's not what YouTube is. The point of YouTube is you are allowed to put a video somewhere, and if advertisers want to pay you, and if YouTube wants to allow you to be paid by advertisers, they will. That's it. That's what YouTube is. But if you join Patreon, you get a certain number of patrons, you are entitled to their money because they pledged it to you, and that's what Patreon is for. So that's a good entitlement. That's like, you actually deserve that. I'm just sick of these fucking whiners who don't understand what this shit is. How can you call yourself free market people when you don't understand what the free market is? It's fucking ridiculous. Go join minds.com. with all the other wank spanners and leave the rest of us alone. And just for the end of this video, so Sargon of Akkad had a video called The Curse of the YouTube Socratics. And I watched a bunch of this, and it's just him sitting on his porch rambling. I don't know if it's his porch, to be honest. It could be any kind of public space. I think I said that because I'm a liar. When I realized this video was about demonetization of certain videos, I knew, man. I fucking knew. This is another example of Sargon not knowing anything. Because I don't have to do any research to know Socrates hated the Sophists, who were kind of the philosophers in power in Athens, for taking money. So, in this video, Sargon of Akkad is saying, we're Socratics because we use the Socratic method of questioning and challenging people, and we're such badasses, wow! And we really understand Socrates, and we really understand Athens and Greek history because, oh, I've got Sargon of Akkad, and he's a historical figure, which that means I'm smart and I know what I'm talking about. He was taking that aspect of Socrates to defend the idea that YouTubers should make money for their content, when Socrates hated people who took money for doing the exact things that Sargon of Akkad was talking about, which is challenging other people. Socrates was famous for walking around Athens, basically challenging people to think for free. He thought money was a corrupting influence, and he thought free inquiry was its own reward. I mentioned this to Sargon on Twitter, and he said, well, that's not what he's famous for. I would say that the second most well-known thing about Socrates is the fact that he hated money, and he hated the Sophists for taking money and for charging for their services. He did not believe in it. The number one thing he was known for was the Socratic method, and now I was wondering, like, so why did Sargon only talk really about the Socratic method and the fact that Socrates was seen as a corrupter of the youth? It's because he has a superficial understanding of what Socrates is. It's the kind of fucking thing he mentions just to be smart. He obviously does not understand the entire motivation of Socrates to do what he did. He doesn't understand why the people in power in Athens hated him, because he was bringing education to the public for free. He was saying everybody deserves an education. He was like the original, I don't know if original, I'd have to look that up, but just for now, I'm gonna say he was the original free education advocate. So to defend monetization of YouTube videos using the name of Socrates is so ahistorical and fucking ignorant that it triggers me. I've read all these people, I've read like Kierkegaard, Nietzsche, and Plato. I've read all this shit, and it drives me insane that just because some dude has a picture of Sargon of Akkad and talks in a British accent, that he can completely fuck up the history behind Socrates and why he was significant. He wasn't significant just because he was a cunt. That's the only part of him that you've taken. Socrates was a dick, I'm a dick, therefore I'm like Socrates. Oh, even though I'm not comparing myself to Socrates. Well, fuck you, for God's sake. Dude, read a book, read Plato, read the things. So no, people who are whining about monetization are a lot more like the Sophists than the Socratics. The Sophists believed that they were entitled to be paid. They believed that their services were so special, they should get money for it. Now, if you want to set up a Patreon on the side, go fucking wild, but stop whining. Even Sargon displayed some kind of understanding when he said this is a disincentive. And that gives me hope. He sometimes gets things kind of right. And we just gotta keep building on that, and we gotta keep encouraging him to research. We've got to help him educate himself. We've got to say, hey man, you should try and read the things you talk about, you know? And when you watch a YouTube video that's like an hour long, don't just watch 1 minute and criticize it. Watch the whole thing. And just because you have a picture of a historical figure, don't get complacent. And don't think that means you can just use that person's name however you wish just to back up your point of view. Because if Socrates came back from the grave tomorrow, based on all of the writings that I've seen, excluding Aristophanes, who said that Socrates took money, but whatever, fuck you Aristophanes, he would say, e-beggars, you fucking entitled whining cunts. I don't think I'll monetize this video.